Hello guys, this is your boy Viper here tonight, and we're going to do another episode of The Gamer Takes, episode 35. The topic we're going to be talking about tonight is COVID and its impact in the gaming community and in real life. Mostly, COVID has had a drastic impact throughout society as a whole, and although adding up to 2020, which was already a disastrous year, ranging from Australian wildfires, the protests, Black Lives Matters movement, and now you add up to a pandemic that has killed 1 million people. It has made a big effect. Now we're going to be mixing up a little bit. We're not going to kind of focus fully on gaming like other topics, like other episodes we have done in the past. We're going to kind of mix it up where we're going to do about a portion of it gaming, about a portion of it regular in real life stuff. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to let her that's what we're going to be kind of talking about during the questions, and we'll let our guest introduce himself. Oh, shit.
All right, so I'm the rapper AK. We are hanging out here. I'm just a regular gamer. I'm a dad, streamer, and hip hop artist. Appreciate you bringing me on, and I'm happy to jump right in.
That's perfect to hear. Also, one more thing you want to add. You talked to me before, might as well, since you kind of talked about me before the show, when we were supposed to do it on the Xbox Twitch app. You mentioned about charity, so I would love to kind of share it up with our future YouTube viewers and all that who decide to watch this. So it'll help.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a big charity event in April with Autism Speaks. That's going to be a really big event for us because my daughter is autistic, and so we really want to give a lot of light to what autism means and kind of explain a little bit so that people aren't so scared going into having a child that may be autistic, because it's a real fear that means it's the end all be all for that kid, and that's not true at all. And so we're gonna bring a lot of light to that. We're gonna have a lot of gamers come on and show autism and gaming go hand in hand. And then of course we'll have the donation links up to donate to as well.
So that would be in April. We don't have a set date for that yet. So it's gonna be sometime in April. So you got 3 months of plans, trying to get as many streamers viewers. So if you're interested in that, contact rapper AK_gaming on Twitter for more information. But we're gonna, as might as well just a heads up for that. Might as well get free promotion in. So the opening topic question, it does not usually relate to, as I'm going to explain, it does not usually relate to the main topic. It is something that is out of the ordinary a little bit, but the question I have is, we have really seen the release of 2 new consoles this year, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. Both have been highly remarkable in performance and also sales, even, well, not the sales part, but kind of its hype, and has lived up to it. So, but there's been a new console in the mix that just got announced, I think 3 weeks ago, and I decided to say, okay, let's talk about it. The KFC console. Now, this was made by, Kentucky Fried Chicken. So, rapper AK, what do you think of the KFC console, KF KFC console overall?
KF console. The KF
Yeah,
console is actually really cool. Me and my brothers have talked about getting it. We're gonna grab that one and hopefully get the Bud Light console as well.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so we seen it on Tim the Tap Man's stream. He showed, and it's like it's got a projector. It's a 6-pack box, built-in cooler, and some more stuff. The KF console with the built-in chicken warmer. We just want to get it for just kicks. I think it'd be fun to show off on a stream or something.
I don't know. I can't imagine using that.
I mean,
I
have you
don't.
seen the specs for it though?
I think I've seen it. It has. You can explain it. I just kind of glazed through it.
Yeah, so from what I basically like remember from it because I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but the specs were basically like a high end gaming PC.
Wow,
So I mean, it can run most games. They do I do believe they said that it would run Fortnite.
that's not really high def enough. Imagine the game can run like a Cyberpunk or like a Valorant. It could. Also, to add on to that, like this is for the hell of it. How many units do you think will be sold in the first week? Like how many? Like when it launches, how many do you think will be sold?
I don't think it'll be too crazy, to be honest. I mean, a lot of people are gonna buy it for novelty, so I could see probably 1.5, maybe even 2 million consoles shipped.
Damn.
I don't know about in the first week. That'd probably be in the first couple weeks, but then I don't see it selling anymore after that. I mean, once the novelty wears off, I don't. I think everybody else is gonna go back to buying, their own pre-built PCs and actual, name brand consoles.
The problem is, I don't think the Bud Light one. I think you got more use of because people like to drink alcohol. I think gaming and alcohol does match a little bit more than gaming and chicken.
True, and the whole idea behind the Bud Light one was really cool because of the built-in cooler really has a lot of usage. You can actually unscrew the cap and put your beer in there. Plus, it has a built-in projector, so there's no need for TVs. You can snatch your boys up and play at anywhere, literally anywhere.
Interesting. I don't know. I can't like cooking up a chicken, eating like got myself a plate of chicken right next to me, ready to hook. Like eat it. Like just waiting for the times like long night gaming session. Have to drop it. Using the console at the same time, and then like maybe it's a good thing that you kind of maybe like how hot a PC gets. Like maybe it warms up. Like you don't even need to like turn on like the heat portion on, and it's just like how hot like an actual PC gets if it acts like a PC. You know, it can just warm up like that self. But I don't know who's gonna have a plate of chicken right next to them while cooking while playing video games.
I mean, I would do that, but I wouldn't do it every day or nothing. I mean, like I said, novelty use, I would probably do it once. I'll do it just for a stream. Just have a plate of chicken, put it in the warmer, pull the piece out every time I like die and leave game.
Interesting. Okay, so we're gonna get into the main topic. We're gonna kind of talk about the COVID topic now. So this is going to be not non-gaming for the first couple questions, and we'll get into gaming, then we'll probably get into non-gaming again. So what was your initial reaction when you heard that some of your favorite places to go for fun were starting to close? Um, Actually, what do you mean? Um, the close part can also mean what was your initial reaction when, do you watch NBA?
Yes,
Like you heard the basketball one where Rudy Gobert got COVID and they had to cancel the basketball game. Like, what was your initial reaction when you heard that all the places are going to close due to the
well,
pandemic?
so like initially, I didn't really think too much about it. I never expected it to last as long as it did. And so, I mean, I kind of expected at first for it to not really be that serious, especially in our area, because there's really no, I mean, I live in a small town, so there's nobody here to really worry about big stuff. And then when I heard that they were shutting down, like the NFL was might not have a season, I know a couple people who play baseball, and they were saying that they wasn't going to have a season. There was a lot going on with that, safety regulations. A buddy of mine from here is a fighter, and he didn't know if he was going to get to fight anymore. There was so many things that just happened, and it kind of seemed like it happened all at once. And it wasn't even like when it first came out. It was like the next month. So when it happened, I was not really upset about it or anything. I didn't really imagine it being a long period thing. Now, however, it's become extremely frustrating.
When did you kind of first hear about COVID? Because we, overall. Like, was it March or was it the early one, like December
Oh no,
when?
like I heard about COVID February. It was probably February 22nd or 23rd. I was in the hospital in January with a real bad sickness, and they had no idea what it was. So in February, I went back for a checkup, and they said that they thought that that may be what I had then. So they kind of explained to me what COVID was and stuff then, but we didn't have a test for it yet.
Oh yeah, because that wasn't until it became official. Uh, I heard of I heard about it in December because I remember I think it said in the CNN or something like that that some guy ate a bat. This was in Wuhan, the first Wuhan, China. So this was the epicenter of it. And I think I heard in the summer a guy ate a uncooked bat or a bat or something. He got sick, he died, and then spread around the Wuhan, China area. They had to build hospitals and stuff. And China was like the really it first one to get it and never really kind of spread out the world. And then I think so. I'm a college student at the same time. Like my anatomy teacher kept mentioning, we had a section about bacteria, viruses, um, of I think we are learning. I don't remember what I learned at that time, but it they mentioned about viruses and they talked about a little bit CDC guidelines. Is it the airborne virus? Is it a touch? Is it you don't know what it's going to be. Airborne is probably the worst one you want to have because everybody breathes the same air every time, every day.
Yeah,
And
there's
then
really no way to go about that. I like the whole herd immunity idea. I mean, I'm almost 30 now. So this is not the first virus I guess we've lived through. And
the
we've seen
SARS.
yeah, we've seen several of them since the early 90s, and SARS is still around today. We a lot of them are still around today, and not near as deadly as they was then. So looking forward, I can see where this is gonna get better. This is not like the end of the world to me, and so I do have like a lot of, I guess, relaxation when it comes to this because of that. And I really wasn't worried about it in Wuhan either. Like I think I'd heard about it back then, but I don't think I paid attention to it until it got here.
Yeah, going like the places closing, all that just really sucked. But I'll explain the next question. Did you have any skepticism that COVID was going to last a couple weeks back in March? Like, did you think it was going to last maybe like 1 to 2 weeks, or were you just expecting it for the long run, or how long were you really expecting it to be a pandemic?
Well, um, as far as COVID itself goes, I'm a student of history, so there's a lot of things that have happened in history that I paid attention to and kind of studied. And one of the things was like the common flu and common cold and stuff. And I remember when I was in high school, I wrote a paper about it. To I wanted to research and see how far back that stuff went, and I found out like the coronavirus has been around forever. I mean, I don't remember the exact year that they coined it as the coronavirus, but it's been around for forever. This is just a new strain of it.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right because I remember
And
it was
so
like a second version of it. Like they had I know they think before it I searched it. I think when I searched it up, there was like two different variants of it. This is kind of like a new variant, like a new
yeah,
strain
this
or a
is
new variant.
so like I mean, I still have some Lysol cans that say they kill 99.9% of coronavirus. I mean, this is like that's been a thing for a long time. So I mean, I knew it was going to be a long thing. Whenever they said it was a new strain, it's just like having a new animal show up. I mean, it's going to be here now. It's here. It's going to be here. I didn't think it would have the impact that it has. My daughter is not only autistic, she has asthma too. And so like if I even come close to somebody who may have it, I have to quarantine away from her. I won't even take the risk of her, possibly getting it because I do know how damaging it could be to those like her who have prior conditions. And like even now, I think I'm still surprised at how scary it can be. And we
Yeah,
just
like
had
losing
like a few
taste.
Yeah, we just had a few deaths here. My brother actually he's getting over COVID now. And the they're so it's so random. You can have one person die from it who seemed like he was going to get out of it, which actually just happened to my brother's coworker. And then you got my brother who didn't really have a fever. He had a slight headache for a couple of days and no taste and no smell, and that's it. I mean, he's shown really no other signs from it.
Yeah, you don't know what you're gonna get with it. Like my mom had it for a couple of weeks, and it was like nausea, vomiting, and like didn't have energy and all that. And I think she got it because she got a flu shot from work, and she's a nurse. I think that's what the initial symptom is. So she works around COVID patients, and the one thing she gets COVID from something that wasn't even from a COVID patient, or was shouldn't initially think it was going to be COVID, like with the flu shots. So it was shocking, and I thought, as regards to how long it was last, they canceled. I didn't remember. The last class I had was anatomy, and they said, and they were announcing around the country, I think it happened 2 days before the NBA shut, like no, 2 days after the NBA shut down, that every college was shutting down and going online. We were like the the community college I go to, it was like the last one to do it because the next after Friday they just canceled. They just moved it all online, and so I got out of school Thursday. I said okay, and I see the news. Hopefully this one lasts long. Maybe lucky the last couple of weeks, I see the newsletter said, okay, we're gonna do online virtual learning for until March 30th, which was about 2 to 3 weeks. And I said, okay, that's not bad. Like at least I can see my classmates again. And then it just got worse from there, and then they just moved everything online. So I was like, oh no, sucks. And it's still like the community college I go to, they did open up classes again back in the fall semester. So that's kind of good to hear that they're having actual classroom classes, but a lot of the people are still taking virtual. So I thought it was going to last like a couple of weeks. I said, okay, hopefully it will fix, maybe it's just a couple hundred to 1,000 people in America. Hopefully to kind of keep it under control. Then it just got up to like a million, a billion, it's 100,000 million and all that. So that really killed everything for me.
I wish it would have been a lot slower, to be honest, because like how everything happened, it just seemed like it happened at one time, and I think that made it a lot harder to adjust, especially for people like I mean, people my age wasn't really as affected by it as the younger generation. Like I see my niece and nephew, they're struggling in school now, and they've never struggled before, and it's just because they're going from half class to online virtual learning, and there's no way for the teachers to actually teach anymore, and so like they're struggling in their classes and learning, and I think that's the biggest problem is that we didn't have enough of an adjustment time for them.
I think it made it, yeah, especially for the younger kids, like elementary school, preschool, middle school. Like it's kind of odd because it's really like college, like high school and college is kind of everybody does online, like there's online work, all the works, a lot of work. Well, maybe not high school, but a lot of work is online, so it's not much of a concern. And people really then don't need that much teaching. Well, they just type in inbox emails for help, and it's not like constant help. But like especially for those younger kids and all that, it's a lot harder for them because it's just very odd to teach because they're still growing mentally, and that's what kills it a lot of times. Next question I got for you is: how was your career affected when COVID became a pandemic initially? And you might as well explain your career while at it.
Yeah, so I'm a carpenter during the day. So as far as like my side job stuff, things that I do on the side, it didn't really change a whole lot. Most of my work is done at home between streaming and you know, working with a gaming team and stuff, a lot of what I done at home didn't change, but as a carpenter, a lot of things changed. We lost whole crews sometimes because of COVID. So, like just last week, we in it since the beginning all the way up until just last week, we had plumbers that couldn't show up, electricians that couldn't show up, material that couldn't be found because the trucks never came in. And I mean, it was just repeated problem after problem, and it has been all year long. And so, like, everything has slowed down, jobs are getting piled up, it's 10 times as stressful, takes us 10 times as long to do anything.
Yeah, that's crazy. Has your significant other had the same issue? If that sounds right. Like in regards to
I'm
career.
actually single,
Oh,
but
sorry. I just asked this because I know I don't really know. I didn't, but
no, no. My ex-wife, however, is she is was in school for cosmetology and pretty much has taken a whole year off at this point because it they didn't get to go back to school until about a month and a half ago. And going back to school, they can only come in two at a time to the school, and they can only work for like an hour or two a day and then swap out. And so you're not learning anything, you're not really working in the shop, you're not getting clients anymore.
I don't think it's easy. I think you can possibly that's a career you can possibly expand. I don't think you need two at a time unless the place is really really small. But
It is really small.
oh yeah, yeah. So that's probably why they have two at a time. But I don't know. You can probably do it online. It's not like you can do it on your cosmetology. You can probably do it in your hand or something. Do it yourself. Did how many weeks did you like? How many weeks did you get off, or were you still working when they started closing businesses?
No,
Close.
I was still working.
Oh,
I
initially.
haven't taken any time off. Yeah, we haven't had any time off.
Oh,
We went from working on houses where people lived at though to houses before people moved in or vacation homes and stuff like that. So, like, luckily I worked for rich folks. It's the high end neighborhood in Memphis, Tennessee, and like they have three or four houses, and we would still come work on the other houses when nobody was around. So we had plenty of work.
yeah. I don't think that's a career that should slow down because like that's the good thing about it. It's like if it's like you're always outside, like or it's like you always kind of have air going in, so it's kind of easy to do. And like working in like a clothing store, like a clothing store where it's just kind of closed systems the whole time.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's
it's a
harder.
beautiful career for stuff like this because we can transition to a lot of different things. If I'm not building a house, I can repair houses, and there's always something there. But when the economy does tank a little bit, like the housing crisis back when Obama was president it was a little rough. As far as work, I was laid off twice during that time because people couldn't afford to have their house worked on.
Oh, that sucks to hear. Good thing you got it relieved. Next question I got for you is: have you felt depressed or anxious since COVID hit, even if gaming has been your source of relief, or whatever activity you've been using as a source of relief?
Yeah, actually, which I deal with depression and anxiety severely. My brothers passed when I was only 16, and that kind of exasperated a lot of what I had been dealing with prior to that. Rough childhood and everything kind of just brought it on. So I do deal with severe depression and severe anxiety, and it did pick up for a while until things kind of became normal. Like my anxiety has calmed down a lot more now. Initially, for the first probably I'd say 6 months, it was one of the worst times. I wasn't sleeping good. Like I felt trapped, and that's never a good feeling when you deal with anxiety.
Yeah, I think when this hit immediately, I don't know. I just like I wasn't like being a college student. You always want to. I had to move. I moved across the country, so I did not know anyone, and I didn't know any like some of my high school classmates. Some people went to the same college, so they at least had someone they knew, or they had people in the local area because they were high school to high school. They all went to the same college. So they knew a lot of people. But me, I go from Michigan down to Florida, so I don't know anyone here. I go to, and so I had to try to make some friends. I'm not really the most social person overall, but I made it work. You know, it's so I didn't try to piss anyone off and all that because otherwise it's going to be hard. But like the first semester, I made a decent amount of friends, and like I don't know, I didn't really talk about people first semester, like like maybe a couple, but like the second semester, I was like enjoying myself with whatever like people classmates I had. It was like fun talking to them. I was excited to really go to class, just not really for the school part, but just kind of for kind of the socialization part. And when COVID hit, it just like, oh my gosh, that's not what I wanted. That's not really what I wanted to happen.
Were you
So
are you in your first year of college?
I'm in my second right now.
Second? Ooh, man.
So it's not, so yeah, that was at high school to straight to college. So that just sucked because like I was also like feeling really confident in myself, kind of really getting out of my shyness, just trying to, or like being more social, and also kind of returning to my class clown phase a little bit in one of my classes. So that really sucked when that hit because it was like I was really I was so I was so happy when I felt so happy. I was excited to show up to some classes and all that, and that just got dumped. And the worst part about college um, is it just ended. You're probably never gonna meet any of those people again. So that's the problem with it. And hopefully they'll we can get back to our lives where we can start kind of hanging out with our old buddies again.
Do you live in a dorm at the college?
No, I live with my family in the house, so
Oh, okay.
that's
See, I was gonna
it.
ask how dorm life changed because, like, I mean, dorms are pretty big usually, right? So,
No, they're kind of small. Well, kind of from what I've seen, they're not that. They're probably the size of maybe. So it's just like a two rooms, maybe like the size of a living room plus a bedroom. So probably I don't know how many square feet it is, but yeah. Uh, Next question I got for you is, since people have, oh, sorry, that's the next one. Since people have returned to gaming with all the hangout spots closing, bars, wherever guys tend to hang out at an older age and all that, or like, frat parties, whatever. How many of your old buddies have you reconnected with since COVID hit in gaming? Like people you haven't talked to that much since maybe college or high school who returned to gaming and you've reconnected with?
really, none of them.
Oh,
Yeah, because like a lot of my friends, I mean, I wouldn't say I reconnected with any of them because a lot of the people that I hung out with and I still hang out with now, my best friend from high school lives right next door to me. Uh, like I've kind of been lucky in that aspect that through all of the years moving off after high school and everything, we never lost touch. And so as far as my gaming friends, however, like yeah, we're still playing games. I've kind of lost a little bit of touch through just not because of COVID, but because of business and stuff with a lot of people. Things have been picked up more. Getting into the gaming sphere with when COVID hit because of how big gaming got, it caused me to have to put a lot of my own personal life on the back burner and focus more on business.
yeah, respectable
And
because you don't have that. You don't know if you're gonna get fired. You don't know how COVID's gonna affect your job as a whole. So that's a good thing you kind of focused on. You can continue. I'm sorry if I disrupted.
oh no, you're good. But yeah, no, it's like I wouldn't say that COVID has affected that in any positive or negative way. because I still get to hang out with my friends. Like I still get to see them. I still play games with them, and that's never stopped.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be honest. It's probably the same thing for me. There's a couple. I didn't really meet any of the people I play who I knew in high school, or just the same people online right now. It's like they didn't really have someone new, or like many people who didn't gain much but started gaming again because of COVID. Kind of talk with me or the group I play with. So it's probably the same answer. But I was just curious question because it's reunion time. It's easier way to reunion without having to, you guys all across the country. Maybe a lot of your high school friends have maybe moved from different state to state, or maybe country, a
I
little
would
more
like
exotic.
to. I would like to like reconnect to some old classmates or something. Maybe I can reach out to them. That's actually not a bad idea now that we kind of have an outlet. Everybody's kind of stuck at home most of the time. So,
Yeah. So this is gonna be probably the last regular question before we get to gaming COVID questions. What new activities slash hobbies have you picked up since COVID struck?
not so much new. Uh, I used to draw a lot, and I've kind of went back to that. I haven't done that in a while. And then music, I quit doing music when my daughter was born. I said, I'd done pretty good as an artist. I traveled. I performed in 6 states, 16 shows. Was in 9 magazines. Was on the radio a lot. Hung out with big name artists. I recorded in the same studio with Yo Gotti, and so there was a lot that I got to do as an artist. And I said when my daughter was born, all right, I know how to be an artist. Let me go learn to be a dad. And now it's been almost 5 years. COVID happened, and I'm stuck at home. So I just decided, recently to get back into music. I'm working on a new project now, and I've got my home studio set up again. Literally, like, all of my old hobbies have came back because I have more time to chill. Like there's no public obligations at all anymore, so I can be at home. Now I'm drawing, I'm writing. I thought about actually working on a screenplay.
Man, you picked up each, man. You've been revisiting, so I was trying to pick up new. That's a lot.
Yeah, I've
Um,
also learned coding quite a bit. I'm trying to work on learning JavaScript. Like that's another big thing is learning. I'm a big learner anyway, and COVID has given me such an ability to just take time to learn more new things.
that's one activity I picked up, and that's been recent. Been kind of last couple months ago. It wasn't really initially. Was golf. Never really golfed before. Went. I watched. I like Top Golf. I went there for I think my 19th birthday. So I kind of the first time I went Top Golf, it was also my 18th birthday. So I like going to Top Golf because it's something enjoyable. I like hitting,
That's an
bombs and all
actual
that.
place.
Yeah.
I thought that was a game. I didn't
No, it's
know
not.
that was an actual place.
No, it's all over the US. It's like a driving range, except there's point markers.
Oh,
Um,
that sounds like so much fun.
yeah, it's kind of like a big city markets, but we got at least I want to say six in Florida. Maybe there's probably a couple more I probably don't know about, but yeah, I got interested in golf because of that. Because that's when I lived in Michigan, they were I heard of Top Golf before, and then they built one like 10 minutes away from like 5 to 10 minutes away from where I live. So I wanted to go there for my birthday, and I got so kind of got addicted to golf. I didn't really went there many times, and then I got back into it once COVID hit because I think I watched because golf was one of how it took NBA didn't release back till like July, same against NHL and MLB when they came back sports. Like golf was like one of the first sports to kind of return. So we watched me and my dad watched a lot of it, and I got interested. Then we went to for vacation. We went to Myrtle Beach, and my dad got interested in golf with one of um, his buddies, and we played at the golf course in Myrtle Beach. He did pretty good, and then he got addicted, and I got addicted. I watched the U.S. Open. I watched a lot of golf YouTube videos and all that. We finally bought a set of golf clubs, like two set of golf clubs for a cheap price, and I play like every week.
That's
So
actually really cool. Like I've always wanted to learn golf. I've never played a single round of golf. I've done putt putt. That's not real
everybody's
golf.
done putt
I
putt.
know that. I know that putt putt's not real golf. And I've been in like I got a friend who has a driving range in his garage, like with nets and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so we've been in there, and he has a little putting green in the back corner of his yard, and we've set up and teed off to it. And I mean that's as close as I've gotten so far. But I've always wanted to learn. And Justin Timberlake has his golf course that I think he just sold in Memphis, and I think I'm eventually going to go to it because that just sounds like fun. Top Golf, I just looked it up. Top Golf, the closest one to me would be either in Rogers, Arkansas, or Nashville. That's like a 4 hour trip.
Oh,
So
both ways.
I'd like to go there though.
It's about 2 hours for me from Tampa and Jacksonville and Orlando. So I got free options. I've been to all three of those options.
Oh,
Um,
you out there in what's the county? Duval County.
I'm close to it. Um,
That's where my ex-wife was from.
okay, well, let's not get in that business. So we don't have to. Okay, so we're gonna go into gaming questions, COVID game questions now. Now we were supposed to play Warzone. Before we had some issues with Twitch, not letting me include broadcast as part of the audio, but getting at the Zoom call in. So Call of Duty Warzone released the week when they started closing out places. I think the next day when they announced the NBA was shutting down. Even with how COD tends to be popular during the first couple months of the cycle, do you think Warzone would have been popular if COVID never existed? Or
Yes. And I say that because Blackout was already pretty popular, and Warzone is like Blackout if it was done better. So, no offense to Treyarch. I love Treyarch. They have been the greatest company in my eyes as far as Call of Duty goes.
same?
But they made a lot of missteps trying the whole battle royale concept with Blackout. It took them a while to even get a lot of the balancing issues figured out, and even now there's still a lot of unbalancing issues. And I feel like Warzone, when it first came out, before it got overly complicated with weapons, because a lot of their stuff is still broken today. But when it first came out, I feel like it was more polished than Blackout was, and Blackout was already popular. So I feel like it was going to grow off of its popularity regardless. Plus, it is a Call of Duty game, and that's going to blow up. Plus, Battle Royales was already on a rise 2 years ago. I mean, full forever before COVID ever hit. So it was going to be a thing. I feel like regardless.
I think it was a great. I think you got blessed. I think Warzone got blessed. I wouldn't say like that was probably the most perfect timing, although it sounds wrong to say it because you had because of the pandemic, but you came out at the right time because people were going to be home all the time. When you don't
No
go
doubt.
out, people are going to be gaming more, and
And
with
they made an excellent business decision with this game too by making Warzone free to play.
yeah, that's what made it work because
I think that saved it more though than the COVID it did exactly. Like Fortnite is as popular as it is, number one because of streamers,
yeah,
and number two because it was free to play. Anybody could pick it up and play it. Apex, when it came out, it blew up because of streamers and because of it being free to play. and I think that impacted. It was just all around. It was a good business decision to do it the way that they did it, having it as a free to play model gets on the bandwagon of the other free to play popular games. The be in a battle royale follows another group of popular games, as well as adding in all of the other aspects. Like, I know myself personally, one of my favorite things about Blackout and one of my favorite things about Warzone as well is I'm an old gamer. I remember when Call of Duty was first coming out, the first one. I can tell you about the first time I picked up World at War and beat
I
the
was
campaign.
I was 2 to 3 years old at the time, so I
Yeah,
didn't even have
so
a controller.
I can remember everything. One of my favorite Call of Duties will forever be Call of Duty: The Big Red One. It was a great game with a great story, and one that really didn't get told at the time. So, like, I'm an old gamer, and one of my favorite things about those two games, Blackout and Warzone, is landing in old school places, places that I remember growing up running through. Like in Blackout, Nuketown was always fun to land at, but my favorite spot was right on the edge of the map by Nuketown, and it was Diner because I can remember the very first time that I played Transit and I played Diner, and starting out like in that I played in Transit. I played in the Diner running around. That was my favorite train area and stuff, and so I would go and play at Diner in Blackout. That was one of my favorite landing spots. And in Warzone it's the same thing. I feel like they just done all around, they done such a great job with that game. It was gonna be popular regardless because it was able to reach out to many different groups. The old gamers like myself, new gamers that were jumping on the free to play bandwagon, middle aged gamers that were on the battle royale bandwagon. It really reached out and touched every group. Not to mention the timing though as well. Like that, I'm not saying that it wasn't blessed with that because that definitely did help sales. It definitely did for a lot of reasons because when the shutdown happened, not only did gamers come out of the woodwork, but streaming blew up because there was more people watching the streams. Not a lot of folks could get the new games. So in order to see the Cold War, they would watch somebody play it. And then you got games like Fall Guys, Among Us, and all these other games that are on the same
Actually,
platform.
don't go on further than that. Those two, just kind of still continue to cut because I want to ask that next question, so I don't.
Yeah, the whole free to play platform though was is got boosted by streamers and the shutdown because the shutdown boosted streamers. Streamers would play the free to play games, the viewers would download the games, and they would blow up quick.
I don't. Oh yeah, I gotta be right about the streamers. Yeah, like that's a big portion of it because um, there's a lot of streamers were big during the time, so then I don't think it made a difference whatever game you played because they would still people would still be intrigued by it. But I think yeah, it did make a big boost to it. I yeah, I don't. I think it's just a battle royale because people are interested in battle royales. Has as we call the next question, like that's the new big genre. Skip sports games, skip tactical, well, maybe not tactical FPSs, skip these other genres and just let's get battle royale because it's the most it's always competitive because you always want to win or
And
that's
it's
what gets people interested.
battle royale has become such a big thing, and it's so big that it transcends just shoot 'em up games. Like, yeah, there's probably 20 that I know of. I mean, you got Realm Royale and all these other games that are the battle royale platform. But Forza Horizon 4 came out in 2018, right
I
around the
played that
same.
game out. It's pretty fun.
Yeah,
I just don't play and just forget
even
about the game sometimes.
even that game had a battle royale mode.
I know I was still shocked they did it, but I think it was a good move. I think it was pretty creative.
Definitely was creative, and I played it. I actually just recently re-downloaded it. I played it back then. I was gonna check it out and see if it's still popping. But everybody done it. I mean, Battlefield had theirs. What was it called? Firestorm or something like that.
Oh yeah, the dad in Battlefield five as a 5 or 1. I don't know because they put the numbers back. I think 5.
I think it was five. I think five didn't five come out after one.
No, 1 came. 1 was like the World War II game. I remember I played on the desert map, and then 5 was the next one. That was more. I think one of them was World War I, and then one was World War II. And I think 5 was the recent one. So people were waiting for Battlefield 6
I
because they did
think
the number backwards.
I think that what's really gonna be good is the new, what was it? Oh, I just went completely blank on it. The new, it's coming out soon. It's a new battle royale, and I can't think of the name of it now.
Don't worry about it right now.
Yeah, I spaced out. We'll skip over it.
Yeah.
It'll come back to me.
So you already talked about Fall Guys and Among Us, already kind of being that for you. So we can speak on this for other games like Fall Guys and Among Us. I'm gonna read off what I said in the question. Do you think like that could have blown up out of nowhere if COVID never occurred? Now Fall Guys didn't last. Okay, fuck. I'm just you start with you. I just had something in mind, but I don't think it's gonna work.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think so at all. To be honest with you, I don't. Um, from my understanding, they had been out for a little while beforehand, right? And I, being in the gaming sphere, I've kind of had these discussions with gaming companies. We're actually talking to one now about another game. Most of these games are out for 2 years before they actually reach out and start a marketing push. And I think that a lot of these games, these small indie companies like the guys from with Among Us and Fall Guys, is they decided that that was when they were going to push their marketing, and they were smart with it. That's why they blew up. Getting the big streamers playing the games was the best decision that they could have had at that time. I mean, watching the rise, the streaming sphere went from being a with I mean, it was a monopoly. 60% of the income was with 10% of the streamers. And then when COVID hit, it became 40% of the income was with 10% of the streamers. And then it even went lower. I mean, now it's been spread around so much that you got people that have 5 viewers getting payouts.
Wow, that's interesting.
I mean,
I
it's such a big thing now. So because of that, I feel like they were smart with it. That's why they blew up. If it wasn't for COVID, I don't think that they would have been able to get the same group. Because even, I mean, if you look at Courage JD or Tim the Tap Man, who played quite a bit of the Fall Guys and Among Us, respectively, their viewership was dropping a lot. Tim's blew up with Among Us because they were roasting him. That was a good marketing on
Oh
them.
no, Fall Guys. It was Fall Guys because he couldn't get a win,
Yeah, that
and then he got
was
one, and people were excited for him. I remember that.
his channel did blow up for a minute there, but now it's back down to 20, 30,000 again, like usual.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right on that. Just the marketing, just 2 years later, that doesn't make a big difference. Fall Guys didn't really last that long. Kind of maybe it got blew up. I think the end of May. If I was, I would probably say the end of May, and then it lasted like a month, and it died. But Among Us has lasted long.
Among
Um,
Us was done really well, and I like the fact that they built anticipation for the new maps and stuff. Their marketing team is on point.
yeah, and I don't think that game was ever gonna die. Even with I think just kind of how it's kind of different. Like the Fall Guys, I didn't. I knew it was gonna be kind of like a honeymoon period because it's not a battle royale, but Among Us was a little bit different because it's a game you lie in. That's so people like lying. Um,
Being sneaky, yeah, like it's fun. It's really is fun. I think that Fall Guys won't ever completely die, but I think that it's gonna become a Mario Party. One of those games that every year has a new update. It continues on. There's still fans that buy it, and it becomes a party game. Hey, let's drink and play some Fall Guys.
I don't think the party game factor that much, but okay. I think yeah, that could be a possibility. But I don't. I think Among Us would still succeed even with the timing. It didn't. It started blowing up in the summer, so COVID was kind of not really. People still started kind of going out a little bit because bars, places were starting to open up. So, and the rules were kind of less strict. We're still kind of strict, but kind of less strict. So, again, but again, the kind of with the help of viewers, new streamers coming in like Corpse, Sekuno, Pokemon's kind of helping out Valkyrie. Those are the big streamers coming in, and you also have seen maybe one tournament or like
Yeah,
AOC, Alexandria Castro Osiris, if that sounds right. I'm sorry if she's gonna watch if she watches this and I pronounce her name wrong, but I call her AOC. Came into the stream and I was like, wow. So this does attract people. And it's easy to learn. It's easy to also get some of your fans in because it's not like it's a game that's going to cause controversy. Because unlike shooting games, like Warzone, if so you get all these celebrities coming. Well, all these like big influencers coming in and not having to worry about like the young population or people who's going to affect it. So next question I got for you is about Cyberpunk. Since Cyberpunk has been delayed 3 times already since kind of when COVID released and all that, could we see the overall quality of future? And they're already released. They've been delayed and released, and they had so many issues. Could we see the overall quality of future video games be hindered by the limitations of being able to work at the gaming studios?
yes and no. I feel like some games will struggle. When you go as big as Cyberpunk wanted to be, I feel like there's always going to be problems, regardless of whether they were in studio or not. That one was gonna, it was gonna, it was too ambitious, I'll say. And I feel like that's what Rockstar is doing good about. They've re-released GTA 5, updated. There's all kind of new updates for it, but they're not putting out GTA 6. And we all know that that's a project that they've been working on for years. They're going to continue to work on it and make sure that it's right regardless. And if you look at what games like, I mean, Call of Duty is not a good example because they've struggled a lot, but
Plus,
Fortnite,
it's a year-to-year game, so that doesn't, or like a 2-year process, so that's not a lot of time. And like, a game like Cyberpunk, which has been kind of in the works for like maybe over 5 years, if I'm right or not. I don't know if I'm
yeah,
right or not.
I don't. I think it was somewhere around in there. I mean, they shouldn't have dropped the ball as big as they did, but like I said, I think they were just too ambitious. Yeah,
Well,
I
the
don't
game
know.
has been hyped for many years, so I don't think it was shocking. People have been wanting Cyberpunk, and it's got delayed 3 times with COVID. What it was supposed to, I think, remember, it was supposed to release in April. They delay it, I think, August, delay it, or maybe September. I don't, August, September, delay it. Supposed to release on the same, I think, November 13th, so same day released COD, or November 17th, one of those 2 days. Delayed it another month, and then it released on December 10th, and it turned into it turned into a big flop for besides the PC people, in consoles
I mean, even the
because all the bugs
PC
and
people have
glitches.
had a lot of glitches too, and it's sad because I feel like that game could have been a lot better. But then again, we don't know what was happening in house. This is going to be a really rough next few years, I say, in gaming, for a lot of fans of stuff like Call of Duty and stuff because I mean, I don't know how much you follow them, but a lot of the CEOs that we've known are no longer there. A lot of the head guys at the studios are no longer there. Sledgehammer is not even a studio anymore.
No, they are. Well, they are a studio. They just don't operate their own game now.
Operate right,
Yeah.
but and you got Treyarch, like the biggest people in Treyarch are not there anymore. I mean, Jason Blundell was my hero for the longest time, and he's no longer with Treyarch. So a lot of these guys are stepping down, and a lot of new people are coming in, and it's going to be a big transition period between. Like I think Cold War is flopping right now, in my honest opinion, and it's just because they have new heads. It's basically a new studio. They come in early, like way earlier than they should have, and late in the development. It was late and early. Early for them, but late in the development period for Sledgehammer. So I feel like the transition period is going to be a lot harder on Call of Duty,
I think
especially with COVID.
I'm concerned. I think we're kind of seeing how they've been releasing vaccines and stuff. I think I don't have too much. I think I have a concern, not for maybe the next 6 months, but maybe after July and August, it will probably be easier for studios who have to. Maybe it won't help Call of Duty at all. I think, yeah, that's right. Like with all these transitions and COVID, it will not help a game like Call of Duty because of its release, but maybe it'll help a game like I don't know when Halo Infinite's going to release, probably next December, if I'm right, December 2021. They were supposed to release in December, and then it all turned into a
And see,
shitstorm.
that's another good game because I'm really looking forward to that. This is going to be the first project outside of Activision. So, Bungie separated from Activision. They're no longer with Activision. So this will be their first Bungie only project in a long time. And I'm really looking forward to that. I feel like they'll have more availability with COVID because it's an in-house game. It's their own studio. They've all worked together. They all know each other. And I think that when you look at games like Fortnite, it shows that when studios are able to know how each other work, you can still accomplish great things. Fortnite's still holding live events. The amount of coding that has to go into a live event to even make that possible, I don't even want to get in my head. And it's not one person that's doing that. That's a whole team of people working from home, working together. So if they can do it, I feel like that's a good example that studios like Bungie can do it.
Yeah, even if it takes a little bit of a while, you might as well get the best game possible. And, maybe COVID can have a kind of a slow sale period. Maybe I don't know how much because people download online games, but it'll probably be a good idea to try to get the best game possible, and try to if you can release in late 2021, at least you have kind of COVID hopefully in the future handled, and you can start getting people back to the studio regularly, and hopefully have a great finished development, especially with a studio that has had much respect like Bungie. That's a good way to handle it. Just kind of wait for releases and all that. But I'm any game, it's going to be a hard year for 2021 games overall. I don't know. It's we gotta see how it goes. I think good thing is you got the gaming has grown so much where it's not gonna remember. Don't have to kind of worry about technology. Like you have enough smart people to kind of develop a good game, but it just kind of matters on the quality. Hopefully that won't be affected in like with these next couple months. But I think it could work. Especially when you talked about GTA 6, like you got a couple years away from that project, so it's not really a big concern for them right now. But especially for yearly titles, you can also add on Madden, NBA 2K, maybe Battlefield 6 releases this year. It's a little bit hard for them, but we gotta see how it goes. Next question I got for you is: with the release of the Xbox Series X and PS5, do you think it was the right move to release the consoles now instead of next in 2021?
Yeah, as far as like a business decision, that was the greatest time because you have a lot of people who had, time at home. They needed something new, something exciting to do, something to look forward to. Plus, you had all the government checks, like the advances. It was $600 a week for unemployment, and a lot of people were able to get set up for the future. And then when they released the initial releases, sold out so quick on both because of that. I think that that was really the best idea.
I don't know. I kind of wish they released it later. Um, I I'm not gonna talk about the. I don't think it was due to how the performances, because I that's not gonna, because you can, that's easy to kind of work on. But I think just because they didn't, first thing they didn't make. I feel like just because they had not a lot of time to make the consoles, maybe due to factories kind of being closed and all that with the building, Microsoft. What do you got working Microsoft and Sony having to handle with all the business models, supply demand? They probably didn't think it was going to be blown up this much, so they didn't really prepare with it. Um, I think just the kind of the factories. I don't think this is the case, but I'm just kind of going my speculation here. I think just kind of with all the factories being closed, with COVID and all that, kind of just put a delay in production. And I kind of wish they, and also with, also, I wouldn't, yeah, the money thing with the $600 a week, that I don't think money was going to be a concern for this, but I think just having this only through online, like only being able to buy the console online is kind of hurt it. And I wish they would have took the time to just get as much more and more consoles produced and kind of delayed a little bit more. Like maybe next November, I think would have been the best idea. But again, your point does is valid, and and, you know, the
No,
money, yeah,
I
people are
like
gonna
that.
buy
Like
new.
that's really a good point. Like, I mean, I guess if you look at it like that, I was thinking more so like it's better to have it out than not have it at all, and then giving people something, like I said, something to look forward to, something new, exciting, was really going to be the best bet. You know?
Yeah, and that's, again, people kind of wait for new consoles for many years. So, especially when they announced in 2019 instead of releasing 2020. Yeah, we're not skip. And they said they're going to release in 2020. People were really hyped, and I don't. It would have been probably really upsetting if they had to delay the console, and that would probably cause a lot of outrage. So that's probably why they hurried up production. But again, when they announced the consoles, they didn't expect the epidemic, pandemic to happen. So, you know,
Right. Like, I mean, and that does suck. But and like I said, at the same time, it's better to have it out than to not have it at all. Getting to see it as a gamer, like a true gamer, I enjoy just watching it, like seeing the capabilities of it. I was gonna wait anyway. I
me
didn't
too.
plan on buying one until after the initial release, like I do with every console. Let them work out problems and stuff, and then I'll go and get it later on. So I love getting to watch it and see where gaming has went. Like
I would have
it,
done the same thing. I was gonna wait anyways. I wasn't gonna try to get it as a Christmas, get it as a Christmas present or something like that, or birthday present. I would wait till, like, I would wait until they release in stores. Maybe it wasn't an issue back in 2013, but like I would wait until they started releasing the mod, like the Xbox Series X in stores, and to when you get it, just in case, because it's probably a good idea to do it. Plus, yeah, work out the kinks. Maybe they have a better, maybe, how you got many models like the PS5 Pro, the Xbox One S, X. Maybe they got some technological better Xbox Series X that releases. So, that could be a thing. Next question I got for you is: we have seen in the news recently that, I think this is about 1 or 2 weeks ago. I wrote these questions a long time ago. Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and George W. Bushes are going to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. So does this imply that we will see live gaming events once the vaccine is live to the general public?
I think that which a lot of places have been doing this. So I think that it's gonna come back soon. They've kind of been working on the formula of how to do it, and there is venues open right now that have been open. Um, Not just for live gaming events, but I mean sporting events too, like paintballing and stuff like that. That's all been opened back up to a small scale. And I think that they're going to work out just like with other sports. They're going to work out the right formula to get it up and running fully in a matter of time. With the vaccine, though, I think that that's just going to make things a lot faster.
Do you think? I kind of think I would. Now I'm not gonna like. What do we expect the capacity to be like in a percentage? Let's ask that
Well,
first too.
in some places, like I know of one place that's in Missouri, they can have 30% capacity, which is about 300 people.
Oh, so that's a gaming place or like a
Yeah, yeah,
stadium?
it's a stadium for gaming events.
Oh, okay. I, we have seen many lands also have. I think also at this on, we have seen a couple lands happen. That have. I think we saw one. There was a Valorant tournament in Brazil that was on land. One team got disqualified because they had teammates had COVID. And it's like, wow, that's gotta suck. Imagine working, getting a good place in Valorant, and it gets wiped down the table because you have two free teammates have COVID,
I
and
mean,
you can't
yeah,
find a
like
replacement. Well, yeah,
that's
that's their responsibility, but it's just at that
that's
point,
gonna
you might
be
as
a
well just
problem. Yeah,
let
I
them
mean,
play
it's like
online.
every sport, though. I mean, we've had whole baseball teams have to cancel because they've had COVID. I mean, basketball has been that way. I don't really think basketball as much though because they work off of a bubble. But UFC, I mean, you had fights that have been canceled because one fighter had COVID or somebody in his camp got COVID or they can't leave the country because of COVID. So like just like with every sport, I feel like it'll eventually work itself out
When,
and get things settled.
when will you think you will see it happen first? Now let's give it a season. It's when they will allow. We'll go with 75% capacity. I think that's a high number. Spring 2021, summer 2021, or fall 2021 LAN
Um,
events.
I could see land events being open by the summer, um, if things in the spring go right. I don't think it'll happen during the spring, just because that's we're gonna see a lot of rises in cases throughout the winter and probably early into spring. I think by summer it should level out,
Yeah,
and
especially
they
when it
should.
releases to general public. I think
Yeah,
by spring. So that's will be a big help.
I think that by summer it should be they should have the formula worked out right and be able to open back up clear.
Yeah, hopefully that will be the case because I would love to go to the gaming event. I was supposed so I had this so before COVID happened. I was I'm a Call of Duty guy. I watched a lot of the Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, COD League, the esports side. I was they have a Call of Duty team named the Florida Mutineers. There was supposed to be a tournament held at University of Central Florida's basketball stadium. That was supposed to be held to public in April, and I was interested in getting tickets for it, and then COVID hit and they canceled it. So I was so upset because I really wanted to go to it, and that was like during like probably no, that was not during spring break, but that was again it's a weekend I'm available, and that just killed it. Now I don't even know when they're gonna host when these COD League teams are gonna host these lands because they're probably gonna just keep it online for the rest of the season. Until August, and probably the next COD is when they're going to do it on land. And I don't know. And
I will
I think
probably be buying team passes to whenever they open back up.
yeah,
I
they're
mean,
probably
I
going to
have
allow
to
limited
get to.
capacity soon. If I don't think they're going to go for full capacity ever. Probably not until 2022. Give
More
it
than
a
likely, yeah.
give it a year for the vaccine, and then let it work. Actually, flu. No, that's not compared to flu because that's less people had it. And like when the initial virus released, but probably would say wait a year. I think I'd go with fall 2021. Summer, that would be a great goal. I think that's something that we can possibly do, but it's got to matter and what people need to kind of still follow the rules. That's not really been happening too well since the vaccines happened. Daily cases are rising, death cases are still rising. Um, there's a new strain that came in from the UK that just came to US from a guy in Colorado. That's I think just the goal is try to get the vaccine to as billions of people first before we start even considering open events still at decent capacity. Um,
Definitely, yeah. And as an artist, like that sucks too because that it's the same thing. Like a lot of venues won't. I don't think they'll ever come back.
Hopefully, well, we'll see. Next question I got for you is: speaking of vaccines, will you get the vaccine immediately when it releases to the general public, or will you wait?
I won't be getting it actually. I look at it the same as I do the flu vaccine, and I've only had the flu twice in my entire life, and I've never had the vaccine once. I just don't see that being a thing for me. Uh, I can see why people would get it, and I'm not against the vaccine. I just don't feel like I need it.
I would get it immediately. Um, Actually, I will get it immediately. I'll wait a couple of days. Like, once it releases to the general public, I'll wait a couple of weeks. That's maybe a month. That's kind of still immediate. Because we gotta see. Like, I think it's a good testing period. Like, see, we already got kind of with Pfizer and Modesta, whatever. They're already giving it to people, United States government officials, and you got to see how that works. And those they're around 40 to 60 years old, so that's a pretty good test to kind of maybe a good test to start with. Since
Yeah, I mean,
how
some
would
of my
this?
friends have gotten it that are in the medical field, in the
Oh yeah,
military.
yeah, initial critical workers.
Yeah, and so I'm with you there. Like I could see it if it's a good thing and it actually positively affects things, then maybe I might get it. I'm not saying I'm against it because I'm not. I don't concern myself with that. Just like the flu vaccine.
Yeah, I just that's a good thing. You kind of start a meet like now, then they release in general public, so you kind of see how these older people who might be more man, I'm some hard words right now, susceptible to harsher symptoms, since kind of the weaker immune system than someone like me who's 19 years old and kind of young. So I think it's a great starting point, and just see how the virus handles it with weaker immune systems, like a decent amount, and then you release it to the people, general public, and also to the young people who, the younger population who have the great immune system. So that's a great start. Last question I got for you is a little bit odd. Besides stuff we mentioned already during the show, have you come up with some other positive and negative impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic? Now, this one will probably be, we'll go in, we'll just skip the positive part because that's going to be really controversial. Some other negative impacts that happened with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, I mean, we've talked about a lot of them. There's the whole COVID-19 thing. I think the scare of it was bad. The depression and anxiety became really bad for a lot of people. Suicide rates started going up. That's never something I like to see. One of the organizations that I follow and would like to do something with soon is called 22 Until None, and they are a veteran suicide prevention group. They do a lot of charities toward like helping veterans. One of the things
Oh
is
yeah, I
like
heard of it.
given that they can loan them, with an advance on a check, or give them up to like I think it was $300 or $400 um, to pay bills and get groceries and stuff. And like they do a lot to help the veterans that are getting stuck at home because of the PTSD and depression and anxiety and stuff that they deal with daily. It can be too much, and the suicide rates is 22 veterans die a day, and
Yeah,
so that's
that's what
why
I was gonna mention. Like that,
that's
I
why
heard
it's
of that.
called 22 Until None. Um, and that I feel like that was really the worst impact, was being at home secluded, when people who are at home secluded fall into dark places. I feel like it just put them, like it was forcing people into those dark corners that they didn't want to be in, and they couldn't have as much help. I know my brother especially, like he's in therapy and stuff, and he couldn't see a therapist for almost a year. That's never going to be good for somebody that's dealing with things and needs to have that outlet. And I feel like it took a lot of people's outlets.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's just you never really, besides the health concerns and all that, you got to think about the people who, the serious, like one thing that's like worried about is like, well, what could happen? Like all these, like for me, well, me social, I'm trying to get more social and all that. I was having that confidence. I was like feeling like I'm like, Michael Jackson in the moonwalk can do that. Talk smoothly. Feel confident in my performance. Social, a social level, maybe not in a dancing or music, singing level, because I cannot sing. But
Okay, that's why I'm a rapper.
I was feeling, feel like, wow, this is great. I'm feeling happiness. And then once college shut down, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the worst thing to happen. It's not like I was already years into it. It's not like I was in my senior year of college where, I've made a lot of friends already, even if I traveled across the state, but it's like when you start your freshman year, you're meeting a lot of new people, and then that just happens. Like, and I don't know if I'm really gonna, now when like I start, I'm still gonna take online classes for this next semester, but I don't know if like once I start going back to the actual college and taking classes in classrooms, like I don't know if I'm going to be really socially confident again, or like kind of be more like get out of my shy spot again. And that's got to be really hard for someone like me and kind of my story, but also with like how other people are, like people like socializing, and when they don't do that, they kind of go for this depressive state, really just like they want to end the world, suicide because they don't have anyone to talk to, a therapist. You with your brother's story, not being able to see a therapist to kind of help with all your mental problems, you know, that's gotta hurt. And just also being really like, especially when you have COVID, you always think about, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die, and just, why do I have it? Like anger, denial, stages of death, and why did I have it, man? I just, God hates me and all that stuff. It's gotta suck for them because it's something that they haven't experienced. And especially it hurts more for those people who are really suicidal when they can't see the therapist, and that's why you probably see suicide rates jump high. And I haven't really kept track of the numbers. I didn't really do research beforehand, but it is scary. And hopefully, you know, I think it's, I think initially that's when suicide rates numbers were scary. But I think kind of in the recent months, I would expect, I think suicide rates are still high, but I would expect like it's probably been calmed down for a lot of people since they, now everything else is opening up. Hopefully they can start seeing some of their friends again, even if they have to wear masks all the time. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's like, I hope that things turn around. I feel like it's already starting to, and you can see it more in how people respond to each other in public. You're not seeing outcries and random violence anymore. People aren't lashing out anymore at Walmart and stuff. Not, I'm not saying anymore, but not near as much. There's not as much built up anger and frustration. There's not as much sadness. Like you can already see it starting to turn around.
yeah, and that's kind of a great thing. It's kind of doesn't now. Um, but that's where my biggest concern was. Like it's gonna hurt some people's minds. And physical levels also something that hasn't been considered. Kind of financial levels too. People are. losing jobs. Unemployment rate is really high, maybe higher in the highest rate in the last 50 years. Not getting enough money, people having to, leave apartments. I lived in an apartment complex during COVID, and people were moving in and out because they couldn't afford the rent, and they had to either find some other place to live that was cheaper because they didn't have because their career had them fired, or they had to leave the job because their shops were not open. They worked in some businesses like clothing stores, so that's not great for them financially, and they had to maybe have to sell some valuable stuff just so they can keep afloat. And now they're probably in a stage where they're starting to get the jobs back and get the money, but they wish they didn't have to do that in the first place. Well, they wish that never happened in the first place. Trying to recover financially, which might take a while to do. In a You're not going to recover financially in a couple month period,
It'll
in a
probably
1 month period than what you had.
it'll probably be
Then
a year before I think anything really gets back to normal for people.
yeah, so that's where the another talking point you have there with how bad COVID was. Well, that's gonna kind of talk about the COVID topic here for gaming and kind of the rest of in real life. So the closing topic question I have for you is, we had 2020. We're all gonna admit, and I don't was the shittiest year in our existence, maybe by my existence. I don't know about your situation, but it
Definitely
was just horrible for
definitely
everybody. We are gonna admit it was not a great year. Um, so the question I got for you is, what goals have you set your mind for in 2021 personally?
In 2021, I plan on getting back into everything that I loved before. And 2020 was a horrible year, but I have this kind of, I don't know, quirk about myself where I tend to find the good in everything. And 2020 taught me that I had let go of a lot of things that I previously loved. And so now in 2021, my goal is to get back into all of that and continue doing what I feel like I was destined to do from the beginning.
Which was what?
Uh, Writing, music, performing. I was an entertainer that has been an entertainer since school. Like you said earlier, class clown. I was that times 10. Loved pulling pranks. Content was a thing for me before YouTube was. We've done everything from fight clubs to jackass videos to, I mean, literally everything. That was always been one of my biggest things. I feel like that was what I was destined to be as an entertainer, and so that's what I'm gonna get back into. I'm like I said, I'm working on. I'm got the idea for a screenplay. Me and my brother have already started working on animated characters. We've thought about doing a comic strip with those that could lead into more. I'm working on research for a Greek mythology novel that I want to write. I'm still working on this project for my music, getting more into gaming. I'll be doing more live streams and more tournaments coming up soon. I'll be playing with a lot more of my friends on stream again, and that's something I haven't done in almost a year. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I gave up that I didn't realize that I'd gave up and let go until we got shut down. Like 2020 was such a bad year that it pushed me back onto the path that I should have been on.
I got the same thing. Well, for I don't know. I haven't really set goals yet for myself. That might be a little bit late for me because I think New Year's resolution you're supposed to set goals. I think it's just kind of still trying to see what I can do with kind of career base. Make sure I can complete college and like get at least continue working hard in college. I had pretty good grades the first semester, so hopefully that will be a big help when I have to transfer in the future. I think just also big thing is making sure I can when we do get back to socialization, when I start going back to classes or start talking to people in the summer, I can get that same amount of confidence as I had in the second semester. Um, because that's so I get more social with people. Try to go to parties, hang out, all that stuff. Because to be honest, I do like gaming. It's been it's been something that's been a hobby for a long time. It's been entertaining. It's been fun for me, but I kind of want to expand out. I don't know. Gaming has just been not really entertaining. All my school friends are kind of getting off it. People I knew in high school are not showing up constantly, and it just gets kind of boring and all that. I do love gaming. I do love doing the shows and all that with gaming guests. I do like socializing people in the gaming space, but I kind of want to expand on, and that's hopefully what I would try to do in 2021 too. You know, and hopefully I can do a Game Takes Comp podcast that doesn't. I done. Never mind. I'm not gonna focus on that. But just trying to get out of my gaming show and go more into social community in real life and in gaming, and try to make friends out of game. I think that's a good
I think
goal
you've
to
done a
set.
good thing so far, man. I think you really got a strong idea. The whole podcast thing is a lot of fun, and just chilling and talking. Like I love the just the format of talking, not real formalities, but just hanging out and chatting. That's always a great time, and I'm always down for that.
That's a reason why I started the podcast. I remember I probably explained the story before. I don't remember in any of my episodes what I talked about, but the reason was I think I remember joining a GTA 5 selling mission. I talked to the guy for a little bit about he was asking me questions. I was responding. We were talking about stuff, and that's what got me motivated to start the podcast. And being on this 9 month break, I had some, I could have probably increased. I stopped doing the show in late March, early April. I wanted to take a break. I wanted to grow my social media before I relaunched it. Didn't really happen, so I said, okay, during this Christmas break, I'll relaunch the show, and I had, you know, had success with the first recent episode I did, and hopefully I can kind of still grow in it. I feel like I got a lot of potential. It's just the hard thing is trying to find guests that really want to dedicate time to me, seeing what my potential is, and hopefully wanting in 2021 is trying to grow a social media branding, because I feel like in regards to my Twitch streams and YouTube, because I feel like I have a lot of potential. I have a lot to talk about. I can, you know, get better. I had TikTok blow up. I even had a TikTok that blow up recently, but that's not a really good space I want to do. But I just like to socialize with people, and that's kind of in regards to gaming and real life's outside gaming space. So that's, I think, probably my biggest goal of 2021. Well, thank you, Rapper AK Gaming, for joining the stream, the Game Takes podcast, episode day 5, COVID-19 and its impact on the game community. Do you want to give any shouts to anyone um, in at any in any sort before we end off the podcast?
No, but I do want to say thank you for inviting me, and thank you for setting it up. It's been a lot of fun. I look forward to doing it again anytime you want to. Just let me know. We can run more. We can actually try to work on a good setup to play the game too. I'm down to play the game anytime. Uh, and join a stream maybe.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining. Thanks to the viewers who watched us. I know we didn't have any viewers since it was supposed to be streamed on Twitch, but we had some little minor inconveniences. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of the Game Takes podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Who reviews this on YouTube, and yeah, bye.